Welcome to Masters of Self University podcast, your highest source of sacred truths and universal wisdom. Hello, beautiful souls. I'm Rachel Fiore, mystic, spiritual teacher, psychic healer, and founder of Masters of Self University. Join our journey of soul transformation as we deep dive into this latest episode.
Hey everybody, welcome to Masters of Self University podcast. I'm your host, Ellie Lee.
And I am Danny Morley.
And we are so happy to be here with you today. Thank you so much for tuning into this episode. Danny, how are you today?
I'm really wonderful.
Good.
How are you? This is about you though today. This is your day.
Yes.
How are you?
I am doing really, really good. I feel like I'm in good spirits, which is always conducive for a good interview. So yeah, I'm just pumped to be here with you.
Yeah, well, today we're going to talk all about you.
Yes.
So if you want, would you start us out?
Yeah.
And let us know your story, what brought you here to this day.
Yes.
Tell us about yourself.
So my name is Ellie Lee. I am a Korean American from New Jersey, and I have always been a very sensitive being. And I was living in a world where I wasn't allowed to feel everything that I was feeling and be everything that I was. So like everybody else, when you don't have a connection to your heart, you really just try to survive in this world. And I've always dealt with anxiety and depression growing up, and everybody always told me like, oh, just take a pill, or, like you just got to get over it, or you're too emotional, you're too sensitive, you're too all of these things. And I really created a lot of facades and I was wearing a lot of masks, and I was pretending, this whole thing of like fake it till you make it. I mean, I really just tried to adjust to like what this world was asking of me. And in the silence and in the quiet of my own self, I would break down all the time, and I would just feel so lost and so alone. And in 2019, I had moved to LA to start a new life from New York, and I felt very broken. I think I was really hypnotized by Hollywood. I'm an on-camera personality. I'm an actress. And since I was a kid, I was like, all I want to do is be on TV. That's all I want. And I think when you live in a world where you are disconnected with your spiritual self, you just look to what the world offers, and that's what you think that you want. And so I was living in LA, and I was spiraling because I felt like I wasn't good enough. I wasn't worthy enough. Like, why wasn't I booking enough? Why wasn't I known enough? And I was so lost that I found myself on the floor one day just crying hysterically, and the guidance began, and I started the inner work because I was like, there's nothing else that works for me. Therapy doesn't work for me. All this other stuff that they're telling me is not working for me. So let me figure out what this like self-love journey really is. And for me, I never thought that my healing journey would like flow into a spiritual journey. Like for me, like spirituality was like, I don't know what that is. You know what I mean? Like I grew up very Christian, very religious, very like Jesus to the death, kind of thing. And I was so disconnected from that as well. And so when all these angel numbers started appearing for me, like 1111 it was out of control, and I thought something was wrong with me. So I Googled it one day, and I was like, what is this 1111 that I see everywhere? And that's when my spiritual journey really began. And the last almost 3 years has been the craziest, hardest journey I've ever been on. To discover your spiritual self and to discover your real self, you have to be at the bottom. And in the rock bottom do we rise to really see who we really are. And so that's my story. And I really feel like I've locked into my mission now. I understand who I am more and more. I understand what I am here to do. I understand that everything in my life has led me right to this point, to this single moment in my life. And I'm honored and grateful to be here, that my soul chose to be on this mission, because this is some badass stuff we're doing. And I know that I'm a warrior, and I'm just ready to just light the world on fire with this love. So yeah, that's that's my story.
Wow, what a share. Wow, I just gotta take a minute to honor you in that. Beautiful. Such powerful words you hold, such power. Sounds like you've been on this journey a while, but only in the last few years you really stepped into the work.
Yeah.
What was it that drew you into Masters of Self University?
I think this is something you and I talk about a lot of. The spiritual world is interesting because there's a lot of layers to it. And one thing Rachel always says is a conscious person doesn't equate to a spiritual person, and a spiritual person doesn't equate to a conscious person. And what was really important for me was, no, as I reach higher levels of consciousness, I want to go deeper into this spiritual journey. And I was calling in a mentor for a long time, like for at least a year. Every prayer was, please lead me to the teacher that is supposed to guide me to the next level of where I need to go. And one day I was in my car and randomly I saw this episode, I saw her name. And usually I don't listen to a lot of other teachers and things like that unless I feel compelled to. And I just clicked on it. And the moment she started speaking, I just felt my body going, and the more she started talking, I was like, who is this woman? And then like you, I went and I literally put her name in the podcast search bar. And I was like, let me listen to every episode this woman is out on. And I listened to all of her interviews. And that's when I was like, okay, I need to learn more. And so I went on Masters of Self and I realized that, oh my God, we could get a free time with her. I was like, okay. And just like you as well, they didn't get back to me for a week. And then when I got that message, I was freaking out. I literally, I was acting like I won the lottery. I was like, oh my God, this is amazing. And then leading up to the consultation with her, I was so excited. I didn't understand what this excitement was, but now I know it was the resonance of my soul being yes, we're moving. This is it. This is where we're going to go. And she is a hard ass. There is no other way to describe this woman than she is powerful. She is the most powerful woman that I have witnessed. And yet she is full of love. And the balance of those two blows me away. And I think it blows me away because I recognize myself in her a lot of who I could really be. And it was almost like this remembrance. And I told her, I was like, Rachel, you and I, we've done this before, right? And she's like, we sure have. And I was like, yes, I feel that so much. And to be on this journey is literally the greatest gift. There's nothing else that I want more than to be right here, right now doing this. So I just want this is some warrior shit. That's all I got to say.
It does. She says that, and it's so true. It takes a spiritual warrior to jump on this path of healing. One of my favorite quotes she says is, "Weak people don't heal."
Yes,
and that can be extremely triggering if you're listening to that. And you can be running programs of judgment right now towards her, but that comes from a place of power and love.
Yes,
and the truth of the matter is, if you have the strength, you can only step on this journey, because to be able to honestly look at your pain and love it, it takes strength.
Yes.
And weakness is suppressing.
Yes.
Weakness is repressing and avoiding. And she teaches us to do the opposite of that. Oh, so beautiful.
But also, it's easier to be weak. It's easier to hide. It is harder to step into the light. It is harder to look at your stuff. And if there's anything about me, it's let me get the hard stuff. I'm not here. My soul didn't come on earth to let's just cruise and let's make it easy. No, I came here to live this life fully to what I need to do and who I need to be. So I think that's another reason why I was so drawn to her, was she's here to really put you in your place, and you have a choice. Will you go down this blazing on fire, or will you cower in the corner? And I ain't no coward, so let's ride,
You clearly took the leap of
yes.
faith. You showed up.
Yes.
So what was it that led you to that, or what was it that made you take this leap?
It was her groundedness. She has layers. I told her this. I said, you have layers beyond the message that you're telling us. And depending on the level of consciousness a person is at, they can hear it in all different kinds of ways. So when she was speaking on these podcasts, I could feel all the lessons and the messages beyond a story or a message or a teaching. And I realized because the spiritual journey is so deep for me, and also because I'm very aware of the Great Awakening, I'm very aware of where humanity is going to, I'm very aware of the fifth dimension and all these things. When she was speaking about that, it wasn't all 5D and love and light and we need to do this and all this stuff. It was never really about that. It was really about how can we, in this state where we are, come home to ourselves by going through ourselves. You know, in order for you to find yourself, you must run through yourself. And so it was that groundedness that really drew me in, because every other teacher out there is just in, I just feel like a lot of them are in this la la land, and I don't want to be floating. I want to be right here, grounded into earth, but experiencing magic in the most divine way. And I feel like that's the thing that really drew me in with her. If that answers.
It is one of the lessons that is in the program that we're doing, to be a spiritual being having this human experience, and not to discredit one or the other. You know, we have to be aware of the fact that yes, we are spirit manifested in human form, but we're also human.
Yes.
And she embodies that perfectly.
Yes.
And what really drew me to her in those podcasts was her ability to, as you said, kind of, it felt connected in many layers to the spiritual realm. But really what she was talking about is, what programs are you running?
Right.
How can we heal the now?
Yes.
How can you connect to your heart right
Yes.
now and make now better? And that's one of the things that sets her apart from everyone else that I've listened to, is she can just do this dance
Yes.
in between.
Yes.
Yes. Human, spiritual.
Yes.
She's got it all. She's a gem.
She is. And I feel like her teachings are very tangible. You know, the tools that she gives us is like, I understand it because it's so step by step, and it really ingrains into your subconscious. So now, like, every time I have a trigger coming up, I go down like, all right, what's popping up here? The mental programs, the emotional programs, the behavioral programs, you know, what inner child wounds is, how old am I acting like, and all of these things help me to understand myself so much better. And then I get to the core wound, you know, because she always talks about how we have 6 to 10 core wounds, you know, and then under the umbrella of the core wounds, there's hundreds of programs. And understanding and seeing my core wounds helped me to navigate myself better, because before I was just flapping around like just who knows what and what knows who, you know. But now I feel like, okay, no, I have this whole structure and I know how to really do this, you know. And so it's just, I don't know, I can't talk enough about it. It's just great.
Are there any other key things that you feel Rachel brings differently to other people that you may have worked with, coaches, therapists? Because I was in therapy for a couple of years, traditional talk therapy, and it was very comforting for my ego. It was wonderful.
Yes.
And it did help me, get some things out. And I'm sure there's people out there listening that are in therapy, and I'm not knocking it by any way, but let me tell you this, there is deeper work that you can do. And this is the deep work, and she takes you there. And the goal of us as coaches is to guide you there too.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah, I'd love to hear your thoughts on that.
I had never, until I started really studying under her, I didn't know that you could heal your pain. I had never heard of that before. I didn't know that I was supposed to accept those parts of me. So I was living in this place of hating them, that every time they would come up, it was like all I knew was like this very toxic subconscious reprogramming. So a wound would come up of, you're unworthy. And I go, no, I'm worthy. I'm worthy. I'm worthy. I'm worthy. Instead of going into the unworthiness, instead of traveling through it, instead of embracing it, instead of loving it. And I think that's been so profound for me, is not, shutting it up and not repressing it. Because even subconscious reprogramming, it's a lot of bypassing too. It's a lot of get this thought and let this other thought leave. And it's like, well, that's just another thought that I don't really feel, that I'm just pretending to, put into my brain. And so the healing and the loving your wounds has been a game changer for me. Game changer.
One thing that takes me to is I keep asking her about different books to read, and And she constantly just guides me to drop into my heart and try and find the wisdom from within. And, it is so annoying because all I want to do is read about it. And she's like, no, find the answer from within you. Is there anything like that you've experienced so far? Like where you've had to, I've had to stop reading books. I love reading books, but they're kind of old and outdated, and the true wisdom is found obviously from within.
Yes, I love that question because I think in the beginning of my journey, I was like, oh my God, psychics and like people like channel and like readings and all this stuff. And I think I was getting so caught up with constantly wanting answers from the outside and not understanding that all the answers are within. And so the longer I go on this journey, the more I let go of all of those things. Like anything that is outside of me, I don't want to rely on anything and anybody. And so that's been a big one for me. And a story that I really wanted to share with you, like piggybacking off, your last question was, well, I guess you're going to ask me like a pivotal moment. I guess we'll just go there right now because this story is like really pushing out of.
Let's go there.
It's pushing out of my heart.
Yeah.
But and this is something that I obviously will discuss a lot on this podcast. But a big wound for me is my mother wound, and I first want to preface this by saying my mother is extraordinary. It makes me emotional, but she's a firecracker, and I love her deeply and dearly, and I know that. A huge lesson for me in this life is to understand and heal all these wounds that have occurred between us. I'm 34 years old, and my mother and I have had a very, very complicated relationship my whole life. And recently I went to Hawaii with my family. I'm already crying, but I recently went to Hawaii with my family, and I was working through all of this pain, the deepness that my mom wound goes, it's very deep. And I think anyone with a deep parent wound understands what I mean by that. And the first half of the trip, all I wanted to do was love this woman. Like I just wanted to love her, but my ego and my mind would not let me go there. So the first half of the trip, I was very cold. She would make room for me at the restaurant and I wouldn't sit next to her. She would try to walk next to me and I would walk faster. If I was off getting a smoothie and she was like, oh, can I, do you need company? Do you want me to go with you? And I'd be like, no. Right. And everything she said just annoyed me. And I was finding myself every night, walking on the beaches by myself, just weeping because I could feel the heaviness of all this anger, and all this hatred and everything within me. And I just wanted to release it. And I would literally lay on the beach at 9 p.m. I would just cry and cry and cry. And then I'd get up and it was the same energy. I would look at her and be like, oh, all this stuff. And then one day I found myself on the beach again. And I was like, you're not getting anywhere. You're not getting anywhere. So what can we learn right now? And as I was crying, I realized it hit me so hard that the reason why I couldn't love this woman was because I wasn't loving myself. I couldn't love this woman because the wounds that were there, I wasn't accepting them. I wasn't loving them and embracing them. And therefore, how could I love her if I couldn't love me? And it was a huge breakthrough for me. And I spent that day just spending all of my time loving all the ages of me where I felt so hurt by her, so abandoned by her, so rejected by her. And then I got up and I went back to the hotel and she was sleeping. And I sat right next to her. And she woke up and she looked at me and I was like, hi, Mom. And she was like, hi. And we just had a very normal conversation. And then from then on, I could sit next to her. I could love her. I could hug her. I could hold her hand. And that's when I realized this is about me. This whole journey is about me and it is about self. And the more that I accept myself, the more that I love myself, that's how I spread love. Because then it becomes so easy for me to love others and meet them where they are. Because I've already met myself. And so that was a very, very profound moment for me. And that's when I started to really understand this work and really understand this power, that it is about love. that we are made from love, we come from love, and we go back to love. And when we move in this life with love, look how the world changes. And so that's my story on that, but it was a big one for me.
Yeah, what a beautiful share. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Wow, that's lovely. It really just go to show the work that it takes is just looking at this pain and really embracing it.
Yes.
And it sounds like you came. When was that realization? Within the because you only started working
with her in January.
Rachel, maybe a couple in January.
This happened to me in the first week of February.
Oh wow! So
Yeah.
it was really recent.
Yeah, really
so
recent.
You got thrown into the
yeah.
the ocean real quick by that one.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, deep
did.
end. That's great.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Yeah.
And how do you feel now looking back on that?
I remember when the energy lifted off of me. Like, I felt so light, and before that I was so heavy. And I just really see it as a profound moment in my journey. I feel like this is a story that I'll be sharing a lot because it was the first time where I understood what it meant to love your pain. And so I just want to keep doing that over and over and over again. And the more that I love these uncomfortable feelings, the freer I become. I literally feel like my whole life I had shackles on me. Like I was just weighed down by chains and handcuffs and everything. And now I feel like every shackle is falling off and I just feel weightless. And so, yeah, it's been really beautiful for me so far.
Oh, I can tell. I can really tell. Wow. And I'm sure as you continue this work, there's going to be many more wounds that you'll find and more layers to peel back. That's all part of it. What really do you think this program is different? Is it the way that we're able to get into these wounds? Is it Rachel herself, or is there something else that you really think this program at Masters of Self University brings?
I think it's a mixture of all those things. I think it's a mixture of what this university really teaches you. This is not a joke. This program is not a joke at all. And if you're not ready to do the heavy lifting, then you shouldn't even think about joining this, because you're really here to bust your ass internally. And I always say this is the warrior's work. This is the warrior's journey. And this is unlike I've been part of a lot of programs, and this is unlike anything that I have ever felt. Also, the feeling within me, I think you can relate with me on this, Danny, like the feeling that we get before class, after class, just doing the work, utilizing the tools is next level. I truly feel the ascension. Like, I truly feel like through this work, I'm ascending. And I think this is for anybody who is just so sick of their bullshit and just ready for to become a dove. So if your ass is ready to become a dove, this is for you. This program's for you.
It's funny because I'd never even heard the word ascension up until about 2-3 weeks ago. I started this work not knowing about any of the ascension process that we don't have to get into right now. But just doing this work has opened me up to so many things. I started in one place and now I'm in a completely other. I'm way more open and receptive to different ideas. Just last week, I was very close to birth charts, and you gave me a beautiful birth chart reading, which now I'm completely open to.
Yes.
And one of the big things I've learned from listening to podcasts about other people is that being open is a wonderful place to be, because there's no judgment. You're not closed. You have the opportunity to have a growth mindset and learn. And this program has really opened me up, and I'm talking heart, mind, soul, everything. Is there anything in this program that I know you've just started a couple of months ago, but that you've seen an opening in already?
Yeah, several thoughts came up while you were speaking, but I feel like when you heal and love your wounds, you begin to elevate to higher levels. And what happens is you're raising your frequency. And if we truly believe that we are all energetic beings and that all we do is emit vibrations, what I realize is the higher I go within me, I start meeting people, my environment changes. The people that come into my life are suddenly on my frequency. Suddenly, at one point I'm speaking, French to somebody and they're speaking English to me. And then I'm like, I don't know what to do. I need to speak French with someone. And then bam, you meet somebody that you can speak French with. And I think that's what's so magical about this work too, is this is more than just what you think it is, because you are rising in frequency. You are changing the vibration. And when you do that, you meet like-minded people on that journey with you. And then all of a sudden it feels so less lonely, because you and I speak about this a lot, but this is a very lonely journey. We are not surrounded by souls that are like us, that are doing all of this work. And so we have to go through all of those things, right? To detach, right, from wanting all these people around us and needing this soul tribe. But then when it happens so effortlessly, and it happens without thought, that the joy that comes from connecting with a soul that is on your vibration, it's really unexplainable. And just to think that, like, I'm so early on this journey, like, granted, it's been 3 years of craziness, but like the fact that, like, I can think of, where will I be a year from now? Or, you know what I mean? Like, sometimes I think about that and I'm like, oh my God, like, I'm already becoming so dope. Like, the fact that, like, I can become even doper and doper and doper as I go on this journey is just really exciting for me.
Well, let's go there. Where do you think you're going to be in the next couple
of years?
Oh my God. This whole program, if for anyone that's listening, it is taking off. There is a huge amount of energy that we can all feel that is coming up, and I'm ready to start pouring my heart and soul into this. And we're going to the moon, baby. We're taking off.
We're going to the moon.
We're going there.
We're going there. I think many of us that are being called to this university, we're here for the long run. I'm not someone who, I follow my heart all the time. I only follow what lights me up. I only follow what moves me. And MSU moves me like no other. And I know that this is exactly where I'm supposed to be. And I just want to stay with this school until she kicks me out, until she's like, okay, enough, Ellie. Like, we heard it. Okay. But
you graduated.
Yeah, you graduated. Just go to but I really see myself growing with this, starting this podcast, working with her in class. It's endless, the opportunities. It's endless of what we're going to do. I feel the shift. I feel the hype. And I'm just such an advocate for this work, and I'm such an advocate for Rachel and MSU. And I just want to let anyone know, if you have doubts about this, stop thinking from your mind. A great quote, Rachel always says, get out of your mind and drop into your heart. Thinking ruins everything, because it does. And it keeps you from stepping into your light. It keeps you from stepping into the greatness that can unfold when you walk through the fear. And I just want to walk through every fear while I spend my time in this university. And I just see big things. And I don't want to go too much into my ego and be like, I see myself like this, but I really feel a lot of beautiful things are going to be birthed out of this, and I'm just pumped. I'm pumped.
Yeah.
Do you feel that?
I feel that too.
Yeah.
Massively.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we're both Ellie and I are on this kind of like transition. We're taking this shift from careers in different backgrounds, me as a bartender, her in more television, and we're going into this complete new path.
Yes.
And it's exciting, and I'm here for it. I'm ready for it, and I'm excited for the future.
Also, Danny, I feel like too, you being like a bartender, all this stuff, like there are so many. Listen, I tip my hat to anybody that works in the service industry because it requires another kind of resilience. It requires another kind of patience. So sometimes I think a lot of people think like, oh, I wasted my life. Like I was doing this and I was doing that. And for anybody out there who feels like, oh my God, I wasted so much time. It's like everything that you've done in your life has prepared you for what you are really here to do. And so even for me being in entertainment, there were times where I was like, why am I in this? What's going on? And it was because I needed to train my voice to be a messenger. I needed to understand the skills that would be required when I really did step into the role of being a coach, of guiding others. And there's a humility with this work. And I've never felt humility before, like I feel with this journey. It's a humbleness because you realize it's bigger than you. You realize that you're here with a lot of other souls to raise love and light in this world. And that mission alone really humbles me. And innately, I feel just this yearning to want to guide and help in all the ways that I can. Like, how selfish would it be for me to feel all lit up and not share this with the rest of the world, And I think that's what really, really, really brings me a lot of peace and strength and power to know that, oh my God, I'm growing up so that I can really help others into the light. And I mean, what greater job is there? Like, literally, like, what great. I used to think like, oh my God, like having like a blockbuster hit or like acting in all these franchises, like that's the goal. That's nothing compared to what we're doing, compared to what we're here to do. And so, yeah, I'm just very humbled by this whole thing.
Beautiful. Well, I know for me, if I met myself now, 3 years ago, I would be able to save a lot of suffering for myself. I would be able to guide myself really well to where I am right now. Obviously, I'm going to take myself as far as I've been, which is why Rachel guides us on our own healing journeys first, right? So with that in mind, who would be your ideal client? Like, who's out there listening and I need Ellie.
Yes.
I need her in my life right now. I know for sure, just me, Danny, I need you in my life. Like, that's for sure. And I'm glad I've got you in my life.
You do.
I know there's a lot more people out there listening to you right now that need you. And so, just touch on that a little bit.
I want to work with people who are so passionate about this. I think it's crazy because you and I speak about, we've known each other for a week, but have we? You know what I mean? Like, we've known each other for a long time. And what I love about you is this passion. It's so raw. It's so authentic. And my ideal client is someone who is so eager to get on the other side, who is willing to put in everything into themselves to find themselves. And so it's anyone that's hungry. If you're hungry, I got plates of food. If you're thirsty, I got plenty of water, because this is where you will be fed. This is where your soul will eat. And I just want people like that. I think that we attract people like us. And I know that anyone that's drawn to your energy is meant for you. I know that anyone that's drawn to me is meant for me. And so if I could describe myself, it would definitely be, I am fire because I am passionate. And if you are that as well, then come on home, baby, because that's who I really want to help in this world.
And you touched on something in there, the fact that although I'm saying, Ellie, who could you help right now? Really, what we're teaching in this institution is helping yourself, learning for the self to heal the self. And that was another thing for me that really made Rachel stand out, is she teaches you self-healing. She's not sat in some ego high chair, king of the castle, saying, I'm enlightened and I'm better than you. She's there saying, let me teach you how to heal yourself. And that's a huge distinction from most people that I've worked with. They allude that they may have the secret. Well, we've all got the secrets. It's just we need to learn to open our hearts and unlock them. We all have them in there. And for anyone listening to this, that's like a big part of this work, is the work starts with you. You're doing the work on yourself. And yes, you get a coach to help you guide you through the process. But the goal of this whole Masters of Self University is to master the self. And so once you graduate from the university, hypothetically, you go through the healing process. You then don't need a coach. You don't need a therapist, because you are your own therapist. You learn to not be codependent. I know for myself, last year I noticed a massive amount of codependence, and so I left the relationship and I started this journey of self-love. Codependence for me, I never even knew what it was until I started really looking at it, and it's
Wow.
it's very freeing to now see the path that I'm on, and I don't
Yes.
need anyone. I don't need
Yes.
anyone. I mean, I need Rachel for a little bit longer. So,
Yes.
well, only for another month and a half.
Yes, yeah. But me too. Codependent. Codependent in relationships, in friendships, just constantly needing somebody, needing someone. And this work has taught me, baby, you don't need anybody. Everybody that comes into your path, it's just an addition. You don't need anyone to complete you. All this jargon about two becomes one. No. Two becomes two.
Right.
Okay. No, two becomes three. You enter a relationship with someone, you are whole on your own. They are whole on their own. And then what you create is the third partner. And it's so empowering. It's so empowering to know that, like, oh man, I just need self. That's it.
She guided me last week to step away from breath work because I was using it a lot breath work is amazing. Let me start there. I've been practicing it for 3 or 4 years.
Wow.
Absolutely love it as a discipline. It's fantastic.
It is.
But it is still a crutch, and it is a masculine form of moving energy. So it's forcing, purging, pushing the energy around. And what she teaches with true healing is it comes from the divine feminine, which is just opening, nurturing, and loving. And finally, when I was able to let go of this masculine breath work, I was able to actually tap into a place of love inside. The first time, and I've not managed to get back there. Even this morning when I was doing my practice, I was straight back into the breathing. And I was like, you've been through this already. Like, you need to let that go. But it's a habit I think I know I've got to let go of. Breath. Breath work for me is such a powerful tool. Is there any tools that you've had to let go of in this work?
I had to let go of my very strict disciplinary schedule with meditation. For me, I have been consistently meditating since my journey, and it became this thing where if I didn't meditate, I started feeling guilty. Like I started feeling like really getting down on myself and all this stuff. And I realized even meditation, I must detach. I must not think that's because sometimes I think before Rachel's work too, I would feel sad. I'd be like, I need to go meditate. I thought that was the thing that was going to heal me. But even after meditation, I was still feeling, shitty about myself. And so I've let go of the control I've had over that, and understanding that I can move through I can have a conversation with somebody and drop into my heart. I can do anything and I can drop into my heart, and I'm doing healing work then, so it's really helped me to let go of everything that's kept me in this very masculine energy of gotta do it. And it's like, it is so much more beautiful to flow. It is so much more beautiful to have just everything within you, and you don't need to do anything else outside of that, if that answers your question.
Yeah. And you just touched on something there, about the masculine energy, because that's something that we can, look at society right now and really see.
Yes.
There's the whole Western civilization is built upon this masculine drive, the patriarchal society, and
Yep.
We're breaking it down.
Yes.
Slowly but surely, and this work is about that. Is about
Yes.
letting go of this need, this internal drive to push, and really get in touch with our true selves.
Yeah.
And ask, what does it need? What do you need? What do you need today? What does your soul need? As a woman on this path, as a female, do you? I'd love you to touch on that experience, and then obviously having Rachel as a leader, a divine feminine, and she's divine masculine, but a leader who's a woman. Let's touch on that for a moment.
I am Korean, and in Korean culture, women are not prized possessions. We are really taught to be silent. Asian culture in general is be quiet, just stay in the back, serve everybody else and put yourself last. And witnessing power like Rachel in female form has been profound for me, because it really shows me where a woman can go. I think that we see a lot of powerful women in society, but we don't see powerful, enlightened women that step into their strength the way that she does. And she reminds me of like a Valkyrie, like I see her as a Viking, like literally on a ship, like just with like a staff, and she's just propelling forward. And if there's anything that I want to be, is I want to be the Viking standing next to her. And so she's just a very big example of what really women can be in this life. And it's extremely empowering. And I hope to really embody that as I step into this coach role. And I'm just ready. I'm just ready. I'm really ready.
I think you are right there next to her, and you're such a warrior. You can see it in you already. You resonate so much with me with some of the words. Even being on this podcast with you has really made me realize something about myself, that I don't speak my truth enough, because the way that you talk, I'm like, that's the way that I feel, but I don't quite say it enough. And so I just want to take a moment to honor you right here, right now, to thank you for showing me some of that goddess warrior energy that we so desperately need right now. After the hundreds, maybe thousands of years of toxic masculine oppression, it's time to change that.
Yes.
And that's what this work is all about.
It sure is.
Yeah.
It sure is.
It's definitely one of the things that I want to help in society, is help men tap more into their feminine. It's something that is very natural to me. I'm not exactly sure why yet. Rachel told me that I'll find out in due time. But it really has been a big calling to me. And is there anything out there for you that you feel like that, something that you want to bring or you might bring to the table?
I think that I chose to be Asian for a reason, before my soul came down to this life. And I think that I specifically chose to be Korean because my country is like top 3 for plastic surgery. There's no talk about mental illness. Depression and things don't exist. And I really feel like there's a reason why I look like this. And I think it's to speak to people also that look like me, because we don't have a lot of powerful voices that speak this kind of language, that send these kinds of messages. And so I really see myself being someone in that world of, hey, I'm an Asian woman and I know what it's like I understand you, but also let me show you the other side. And so we choose everything, right? I really believe in that. And so I really feel like that's a part of my journey, is to really be a voice for Asians. For real, yeah.
Wow, so cool.
Yeah.
I was not expecting that answer. That's so cool. But that's obviously because, I don't come from that culture, and I didn't know that exactly about like the Asian culture. So, I've been traveled in Asia, but I was looking at everything through my lens. I was also depressed then, so my perception of reality was very strange.
Sure.
But speaking of depression, let's get into depression just for a minute. Okay. Is it something that you still struggle with? Is it something from your childhood? Did you feel it your whole life?
Felt it my whole life. I could remember being 4 and feeling it. I could remember, you talk about anxiety and going to your mom when you were 8 and being like, what is this? I remember being so small and everything spinning around me, and me going up to my mom being like, I have this rushing feeling and I'm really scared and I don't know what it is. And then her being like, it's nothing, like you're just making it up. And then me going back to my room being like, oh, okay, I'm making it up. And so it's always been a part of me, always. And I think that when you are an HSP, I think that when you are a quote unquote light worker or whatever in this world, we are born into a world that doesn't support people like us. People like us don't thrive in this society. And it was really hard for me because it felt like I felt so different. So different. Like I could be surrounded by my bestest friends and I could sit there and go, I am different and I don't know what this is and I don't know why I'm like this. And for a long time, I was really mean to myself because of it. I would sit there and I go, why are you like this? Change it. Change it. Like, you feel way too much. You're so sensitive. You're always doing and then so I would repress and suppress and try to be like everybody else. And now I realize the depression and anxiety were there because I had forgotten who I was. I had forgotten, and my soul was crying to remember. And you know what I mean? It was. And it wasn't until I began this journey that I realized those are superpowers. I am a superhero because I can feel everything, and that's a gift. And for so long, they made me feel like that was something that was wrong about me, you know? And now I'm finding so much strength in my depression. I'm finding so much strength in my anxiety because it is who I am. And spending time with them too, like, it's almost like they're old buddies of mine, you know, like they've been with me. And now I can be here and be like, I'll love you because you were always just cueing me to something bigger than me. And so I'm really grateful for you. And the depression hasn't hit like it used to hit. The anxiety doesn't hit like it used to hit. I just feel like I'm in a very beautiful place right now. I feel that.
I started to view all pain as teachers.
Yes.
So no matter what it is, physical, mental, emotional, it's all a teacher. Paul Chek gave me this verbiage, the pain teacher, and I love it. And it's a fantastic shift to have about looking at your pain as a teacher, and it's there to convey a message.
Yes.
And I can resonate so much with, the soul crying out to just remember, because that's the same journey that I was on. It's the exact same thing. I was in denial of who I was. And for anyone that's listening that doesn't know, when we use the term HSP, it means highly sensitive person. 20% of the population are highly sensitive people on average, and 50% of those are in therapy. So a large proportion of people in therapy are highly sensitive people, and most people don't acknowledge it, and they don't know. They don't know about it. I certainly didn't up until a couple of weeks ago when we really started looking at it. And it's a huge shift once you start understanding yourself. And it's all part of the journey and some stuff that we teach in Masters of Self University. But such an important part. And for me, depression, I was just actually yesterday, I was having a conversation with a gentleman, and it got quite heated, and mine and his beliefs were going head to head. I come from a place where I believe in oneness. I believe in the collective consciousness and that there is a higher power, and he didn't. He was an agnostic, as he called it. And as I finished this conversation and we went our separate ways, I looked back at the depression and I realized that was there to guide me to the knowing that I have now. Without that depression, I wouldn't be in this place where I no longer fear things in the same way. And it causes a huge amount of awakening. Did you have a pivotal point where you had a huge awakening, or was yours a deep knowing from being young and a gradual process?
I think it was always a deep knowing, but not understanding what that knowing is. And then I think when I started on my spiritual path, everything that came my way, I really learned discernment on my journey, to discern what resonates with me and what doesn't resonate with me. And when I hear certain things, I can feel the knowing in it. You know what I mean? When somebody talks about the golden age of harmony, or when Rachel talks about the fifth dimension, some people can hear that and go, "You're crazy. You're literally losing your mind. Something's wrong with you." And
that
then
was me
another
about a year ago, by the way.
Sure.
Look how much I've grown.
Exactly. And then another being could listen to it and go, something about that hits. Something about that feels very true to me. And I think that's what I've discovered is all I do is drop into my heart and go, how does that feel for me? Does that feel like divine truth for me? And if the answer is yes, then I'm like, okay, cool. And if they, like you and I, we're becoming professionals at observing the ego. We're becoming professionals at really understanding what is the ego and what is the heart. And I don't even know what your original question was, but I really feel like that's what I'm learning, and what I'm here to do is to really just come from heart as much as I can.
That's what we've all got to do. And if we
Yes.
all just imagine what world we'd live in if we all managed to just do everything from a place of love and then from our
Yes.
hearts. It
Yes.
would be there would be no more wars, no more fighting, a lot more peace.
Listen, we are existing in what they call the greatest time in human evolution. Our souls have come down here to do exactly what we are doing. And for anybody who is listening to this, as are you. You are being guided to this for a reason. And I'm humbled to do this work beside Rachel, beside you, beside everyone that is doing this. And for anybody out there, please check out Masters of Self University. She also does she has a live membership where she does 2 lives per month. I'm also a part of that. I know Danny wants to be a part of that when his schedule clears up a little bit. But if you guys want to be coached by any of us, please set up a consultation at Masters of Self University. It will be a game changer, and it is calling you for a reason. And the question is, will you step in or will you step out? Hey.
That's exactly it. I think that's a
Yes.
great place to
Yes.
end this. As Ellie said, like, if you have any questions, just reach
Yes.
out. I'm on Instagram. She's on Instagram. Feel free to reach out on there. Check out the
Yes.
website.
Yeah.
Shoot any questions you have, and let's connect if you're feeling
Yes.
something. If you're excited as I am right now,
Yes.
you should be talking to us.
Yes,
Because you should be part of
And-
this.
Yes, and please don't forget, guys, leave us 5-star ratings if you really liked this, and a comment, and
Yeah.
subscribe to Sip of Love, but we love you. We don't need to know you to love you. We are one, and I hope you feel the energy of that. Danny, I love you. Everybody that's listening, I love you, and we will catch you guys next time.
Bye.